Welcome everybody to 2024 Echelon Prime Foundation election panel number 1. It is April 1st, and we are going to start talking about Echelon, future Echelon to these candidates. A couple ground rules. First of all, we're going to have four panelists up here. We're going to kick off a little bit of a warm-up introductory kind of questions. It's going to be 30 seconds each, and then we'll get into the meat of the discussion, and you will have 90 seconds, a hard cutoff of 90 seconds for your answers for your questions. We received questions from the community ahead of time over the past several days, so we're going to work through community submitted questions, and at the end and throughout the panel, you can submit questions in text and mods, and EPs will grab those as they're able. This has a hard stop time, by 9:30, probably sooner a little bit. I think 8:50 or 9:20 technically, but we can carry over to another channel. So with that, let's Sean, can you help me get up the candidates and we'll kick it off.
Yep, we'll do.
The candidates can request to speak. That's easy.
Yeah, Austin, Ultra, Polo. Yeah, guys. Meta.
Looks like Polo.
How's everybody doing?
Polo.
Yeah, it looks like Polo's still having
Yeah,
some sound
what's going
issues.
Yeah, seems like it.
Testing.
His hands up.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Sound good?
Yeah, Austin, Ultra, and Meta, we can hear you fine. Polo, we sent you an invite. See if you can accept that. Just jump up. All right, Sean, maybe you go straighten that out, and we'll just kick off with those who are up here. So I'm going to kind of guide the conversation here and run through the questions, and I'm going to ask those as I kind of have them according to the kind of clockwise in my circle, and we'll run back and forth. So, oops, we lost Ultra.
We need to get Polo up.
Yeah.
The invite's sent. You just got to accept it. Or leave and come back.
Yeah, he's still having sound issues. Can't hear any of us. That's what I gather.
Okay.
All right, well, let's start with the intro questions with the other guys here. Try to stay on time and on budget for schedule. So, Austin, you're up first. So, quick 30 seconds. Just a couple questions, just kind of help everybody get to know you a little more. We're going to ask 2 questions. Take about 30, 45 seconds to answer, or 30 seconds to answer each question. So I'll answer one and then kind of give you, when you're done, you can say you're done, and we'll ask you the next one. And I'll go through, and then Meta and Ultra, and then Polo. So, all right, so Austin, we're a gaming ecosystem and community, which means games are kind of our lifeblood. So tell us, what are your 3 favorite games?
We're speaking overall, correct? Not just Web3.
Overall, yep. Just what are your favorite games now, in the past, whatever?
I would say my top 3 games are World of Warcraft, RuneScape, and third one's tough, I guess. Parallel. I can't really think of anything that I would put. I mean, honestly, Parallel would probably be number 1. I probably should have started there, but I was thinking, the nostalgic stuff that I grew up on.
Great. So this is kind of rapid fire round, so that's about 30 seconds. Next one is, how did you get into crypto? 30 seconds.
So I got into crypto in 2017, I think it was 2017 with CryptoKitties. And then I came back in 2021 and realized I had a Uniswap airdrop. And then I never left from there. I kind of just put everything, I just kept compounding. And I found Axie, and I found Guild of Guardians, and then
5 seconds.
it all kind of went from there, just snowballed.
Nice, thank you. All right, so next up is Meta. Meta, question number 1. What are your 3 favorite games?
Oh, number 1 for sure, Diablo 2. Number 2, probably StarCraft. And number 3, I think I gotta say Settlers of Catan. Those are probably like the 3 most played games ever.
Okay, nice. You have 10 seconds left if you want to fit anything else in.
Parallel's all right, I guess.
Okay. All right, we're at time. So next question: how did you get into crypto?
Honestly, a buddy of mine on a whim just said, as a joke, "Do you want to get into crypto?" And he was doing this art project back in 2017, and I thought it was all baloney at first, but then I put in like, I don't know, 90. I bought ETH at like $90, and then from there I was like, this sort of works. So I stuck around.
Nice. Thank you. Ultra. Let me reset the clock here real quick. The first question: 3 favorite games all time.
All time? It's a really difficult question. I've played a lot of
Or
damn
right
games,
now.
but actually, I really like Diablo 2 as well. SOCOM 2, first multiplayer competitive shooter on console, and then I would say over the past years, definitely League of Legends because of just the competitiveness of the game, how it's affected esports now, and how the IP itself is expanding is pretty interesting.
Great. All right. And what about how did you get into crypto?
Yeah, I first learned about crypto, I would say 2014 or 2015. My friend was mining Vertcoin. I had multiple friends mining Vertcoin. Kind of brushed it off, and then at some point in 2017, I didn't know what to do with my stock I had at the tech company I was working at, and somebody was trying to show me life insurance, and I stumbled upon an article about smart contracts, and I bought some Bitcoin to buy shitcoins.
Great. Sorry to interrupt. Trying to keep everybody just
All
one
good.
time. Cool. All right. So, Polo, can you hear us? You're good now? Just give a quick.
Yes. Sorry about my audio. Sorry.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So, great. First question: what are your 3 favorite games, either now, all time, whatever fits?
The first game I would mention is the StarCraft. I played that game since I was young, and that game is the first game I've ever played. And the second game is League of Legends. I spend a lot of time play that game. I almost become like a professional in that game. So I do really like that game. And right now I play a lot of Polo, definitely. So I think this is 3 game I think I like most.
Great. Thank you. Sorry, my timer is. Next, for the next one, the question was, how did you get into crypto?
Back to 2020, I have a friend in my real life. He worked in crypto, and he told me this game called X Infinity is really funny to play. So I tried that game. I actually get active by that game, and I become like a top player in that game. I spend a lot of time, so that's the reason I entered into the crypto.
Thank you. Gives us our intro. Great. So, all right, now we're going to move into the questions, to the community submitted questions. If you're not the person responding right now, please go ahead and mute yourself just to make it convenient for everybody. So we're going to go in reverse order. So, Polo, we're going to have you go first with the first question. So, Polo, you mentioned that you're connected to the East Asian game networks and global networks, and you really emphasize bringing a new view and some networks and connections there. So there's just one quick question about crypto and gaming in East Asia. Recently, there's been some East Asian game studios, Japan, South Korea, China, which have attempted to incorporate crypto and NFT elements, but it seems to have gone badly. Why do you think these negative reactions occurred, and maybe what would you do differently? This is just a reminder. This is a 90-second question, so you're gonna have to be cognizant of your time, and I'll give you a warning at 15 seconds.
Okay. Because yes, I think recently in China and Japan, there's a lot of people like entering into the crypto world, but some of them really like they're not really like crypto, or they are not play the game. They want to make benefits, they want to make profit from the game. So that's something we need to avoid, because like the Chinese people, we doing things differently with like American or European people. Like every day we use WeChat. We will use WeChat in our daily life. So I think to involve the like to bring the Chinese people to, if we want to attract the Chinese users to play our game or have our token, we need to involve. We need to like adjust ourselves with their lifestyles. Like we're gonna bring the people who use WeChat and the WeChat communities people into our ecosystem. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna enter into the
30 seconds.
Okay, we're gonna enter into the WeChat and talk with the WeChat community leaders, and we can talk with them to bring their followers or their subscribers into our game. And also in Japan, people use Line daily. Like a lot of people, they have like Line groups. So a lot of crypto
Right.
builds. Okay.
Thanks for that. Now we're gonna go in reverse order. Ultra, next question's up for you, and everybody will have multiple questions. We're just gonna take time to go around and spread them out a little bit. Ultra, what do you see as the biggest barrier to onboarding other projects into the Echelon ecosystem? And do you have any possible elementary solutions?
The biggest barrier, well, I can think of multiple barriers, but I'm just going to go off the top of my head. I think the quality of game is the first thing to mention. If you go back and reflect towards the original Echelon white papers, we talk about kind of like some play to earn aspects of games, and utilizing the gameplay pool can be tough when you don't have a game that's actually competitive. So when you look at a lot of games that are people are talking about, it's like is the game even competitive? Then you can start asking other questions too, like does this game have IP that's out there that's different and unique, that isn't just using Unreal Editor, basic bare bones stuff. But solutions for that is well, you probably got to start finding people who are actually building real IP, and somehow bridging some of the Web 2 people into gaming and
30
making it a
seconds.
friendly place for making people realize that, hey, like you can take advantage of the things that Web3 offers to maybe come into this space as well.
Great, thank you. Staying on trend, Meta, you're up next. Let me reset my clock here. So Meta, you mentioned that a lesson learned is separating studio content from Echelon content. Do you think that the same theme is a best practice and should be applied to future studios that might join the ecosystem?
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, I think one thing that we learned is like the studios have their own vision, like sort of creatively, and even from a gameplay perspective, and they want to sort of see through that vision before the community starts to get into it. Like that would be the example of let's say in World of Warcraft, or sorry, in Warcraft, where you would be editing the actual game itself, whereas like they broke out a piece to allow the community to develop other scenarios or maps with it. So I do think that like just in terms of like how different sort of organizations sort of move in tandem, you sort of have to separate and sort of move in parallel. And then at some point when the IP gets matured off, or when the game is developed to a certain point, that's when the sandbox can be developed by the other studio and allow more let's say, community interpretation or
30
development.
seconds.
And yeah, so I think that that's sort of consistent with multiple studios coming on board, is needing a sort of separation, and then with certain collaborations, when it's absolutely required, that's when, like, for instance, the Ardent card backs, that required quite a lot of work in order to get that in the game client.
Right, we're at time. Thank you. Okay, Austin. So on this theme of development and working with Echelon, in your survey you mentioned locating the highest priority goal for Echelon and trying to deploy yourself to that. What is it you believe is the highest priority goal right now, and how would you go about developing a strategy to achieve that goal?
So currently, I would say the main, or I don't want to call it the main focus, but something that could be focused on is sinks, because realistically, that's key to any circular economy. And, Parallel TCG and Parallel Colony, just Parallel Studios in general, those two games being the two products that will basically onboard the rest of it. Like, we need our two main products to succeed to be seen as a place that that wins. Like, honestly, I think that's what Ronin has done best, is they've created this kind of movement where they ship a game and then they call it the Ronin effect, and it's like, we need Parallel to win big, and that will that will help us onboard more
30
games
seconds.
that are. Oh, sorry. But yeah, sorry. Honestly, this really isn't my. I'm not really used to speaking on stages or anything, so I'll just, preface this with that. But yeah. So I don't know. I kind of lost track, but yeah, just the fact that, we're gonna. I would say focus on sinks, and I like. Yeah, right now it's just 2,000 prime per month is probably not going to cut it. So I would say that would probably be the
All right,
first
we're
place.
at time. Yeah. Thanks, Austin. Yeah, it was a big question, right? So highest priority goal sinks and working on that. Thank you. Okay. We are going to continue our little snake back and forth. So Austin, I'd like to ask you one more. We're gonna run it back.
Yes, yeah.
So this one I think is a tight fit to your wheelhouse. Echelon recently ran a public streamer rewards program. As part of this program, we had some feedback that we performed poorly and could have used a tool. How would you have maybe gotten out in front of this problem and maybe even prevented this from happening? Or are
I
there
mean,
ways? Is a better way to state that question.
I did see the program you were talking about. Um, I would say I'm not sure if for sure, like, when somebody won, were they able to win a second time? Because I couldn't tell if that was the case or not. And I mean, I would say probably just going off a more clear criteria, because I think part of the reason people were upset, like, I think I saw Daryl didn't qualify, even though he had the most hours streamed and the most viewers and everything. So probably just having a more clear, less opaque system. So people were like, okay, if I stream this many hours and I had the most, top 10 out, okay, well, actually, we probably don't want to get back into hours, because I remember, oh, I'm sorry, I was confusing the two, because I think we just hosted one where we were choosing people for 11 prime. Were you referring to the original one that was for like most hours streamed? Because
No, I think the current program, and just we have about 34 seconds left, just so you know.
Okay, yeah. The current program, yeah, I would just make it a more clear criteria, because I know Daryl was upset that he had the most and it didn't really make sense that he wasn't chosen. So just making it clear and not making it a guessing game is probably just the easiest, the route of least resistance.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's see. would be next? I think it would be Meta, correct? The Meta. You've talked about shifting additional emphasis of your time as an EP to business development. Sorry. What do you look for in a potential partner?
Honestly, it's the willingness to take feedback. I think that, it's, how do we say this? With the conversations we've been having with studios, typically they'll ask us to, give them feedback on their Web3 strategy. And I think some of them, maybe this goes back to an earlier comment about like seeing through a particular vision. Sometimes these Web3 visions or Web3 mechanisms can take on their sort of life of their own. And some studios are willing to commit and sort of, commit to Web3, commit to NFTs, a token, etc., and sort of really work through how to not only distribute them, but also reward the community after they've acquired them. And some are sort of less so. They may see it as sort of a marketing tool. And so I think the number one thing is sort of being receptive to feedback, because one of our sort of big feathers in our cap is basically our expertise. We can sort of run back, exactly the playbook that Parallel has done in the past, and we have the sort of know-how to and tooling to help new studios do that.
Thanks, Meta. All right, Ultra, real quick, I gotta adjust my there it is. Ultra, recently you've received some public criticism of your position at Echelon, including that your role is just monitoring the market. Do you consider this to be your position in Echelon? And if not, without breaking any agreements you're kind of a part of, what have you spent your time on researching and working on lately?
Yeah, I totally disagree that's, I mean, that might be a perception and that's something I can improve upon, but there's conversations that we have that, obviously we can't always dive into. But I would say, particularly, I've been looking a lot at blockchain architecture and just infrastructure. I think potentially in the future, like let's say hypothetically, Colonies has an issue on Solana or something, and Parallel is asking for our help on like what solutions they should do and like what other options are available. We have to be thinking about these things ahead of time, right? We have to be thinking about potential other studios and making sure we meet their needs. So I think there's probably a world where we're on a chain of some sorts, and we're doing all the research there to make sure that we're not just making a quick decision or just I guess you have to really view the entire landscape of what's happening in like the L2 space, because there's so many things launching, there's so many things you have to consider. So really doing all that kind of research is, it's something I've been doing since 2017 now. So I add a lot of value there to make sure that we're making the right decisions.
Thank you. Polo. Back to Polo. All right. So you, I believe, have stated you're located in East Asia and is where you work and potentially live. How would you manage the time zone difference, given the fact that the distributed team primarily works on Eastern North American time? Could you start there, please?
Yes, I think this is like quite important question, because like in Asia, like the time zone is completely different. But I think like I can if I can do my job in my daytime, like probably if we gonna cooperate you and we have a task to do together, and like I can because primarily what I focus on is the Asian market, right? So I can take advantage of my time, daytime to do my job, and we have a task, and we can finish it together. But I can use my time in Asia's time, so which is like more favorable for the Asian people, I think.
Great, thank you. All right, so we're going to continue around with one more pass of questions for candidates here. Polo, the next one's for you, and similar along to what you're talking about is working in East Asia. What would you do in order to grow Echelon's presence in East Asia?
Yes, I think the reason why I come here to apply for this position because I have a small community which is in China and Japan, like 300 people. Like those people, like they want someone represent for them to negotiate with this project or negotiate for team, like because sometimes we, for example, half a year ago we have terrible network issues, and people can barely play the game during that period. Right now, from these things I can say there's a lot of potential in Eastern Asia's markets, like there's a lot of people doing crypto every day, and they play completely different games. So I can be I can be the bridge to gap the I can gap the bridge between the East Asia and our project like Prime or Polo. And because like a lot of people ask me how to recently how to enter into this game, how they can like play this game, can they play for free or they need to buy the NFT in the game? So I think there's a lot of things need to be done, like to write something to guide
Polo,
people.
we're out of time. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you for those thoughts. Yeah. Okay. I'm losing track in my own order. Ultra, I think you're next up, correct? Okay. So, Ultra, let's see. Over the past many months, a large number of people have learned about the existence of Prime, but may be completely unaware of EPF as a whole. Do you have any ideas of how we might be able to spread awareness and existence of EPF and its significance to these new people?
Yeah, I think what we could do is, we can engage people more who are already in the Web3 space. I mean, I see this a lot where, particularly Web3, I mentioned too, because this is kind of in our wheelhouse, right? I think Parallel is working on the Web2 side. It's like, what can we do right now to make, make people find out about us more, right? So leveraging our treasury, doing things like, hey, the suggestion of starting to reward streamers. I think, Twitch is very important. Obviously, getting people to stream on there more regularly is I think vital for any game. And I think one of the things that's going to be coming up quick is, guild support for bonds and making sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure that, hey, maybe there's people that figure out hey, they maybe want to make their own guild or they want to join one. And I think these are kinds of things that are like really cool and you compare to the rest of the Web3. And I think that's going to make Echelon stand out. And it's kind of like making sure that anytime we get involved in these things, to make sure that, hey, we're supporting more initiatives. We're making sure that, we have the
10 seconds.
making sure that we have like our name actually out there.
Great, thank you. Metaregular. So as a representative of Echelon, you recently attended GDC. what were your key takeaways about Echelon's position in this space at this time?
Well, in the gaming space in general, I mean, I think we're obviously small fish. GDC is sort of a massive gaming convention, and we're talking about Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, like those are the names that are there. That said, within the sort of Web3 outfits, I think we're starting. I mean, Parallel sort of leading the charge is sort of the belle of the ball in terms of the Web3 space. And with that, we were able to carve out a corner of the booth to sort of, I guess like promote and sort of spread the word of Echelon. And I would say probably about 50, between 30 to 50% of the people that we spoke to that sort of had heard about Parallel knew about Echelon. And so I think that like a lot of this is just because it's sort of been
30
nascent
seconds.
for a while. The token has only really been traded for about a year. It's been unlocked for about a year. So things are starting to happen, and people are starting to sort of know about us just through the sort of success of Parallel. But hopefully we can sort of use that momentum to sort of
All right, we're
make
at
our
time.
make our mark.
Thanks. Thanks, Meta. Austin, you get there's a question from the community, and it is as such. As a community member and voter, I want my elected EPs to work their asses off. So I want to hear it from them. Are you well aware that being an EP is a full-time commitment? Are you willing to make EPF your top priority? For those who would be new to the role, are you willing to put in the extra effort to get up to speed and perform at full capacity as soon as possible?
100%. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that like anything I do it 100%. And that's why I'm pretty like solo one track focused. Like I pick something and I do it the best. I don't do a million things at once. So I mean, I would probably have to surrender my Parallel career a bit. That might take a hit, but as far as my playing goes, I'm hoping to be master this season again. But yeah, I 100% I will be as devoted and honestly probably as energized and as driven as or more driven than any EPs already serving, honestly. I feel like I have a passion for the game itself, and I truly love Parallel and I love playing it. So I feel like that adds another level to it where it's something that I could play all day and I want to compete at, and I love the actual product itself. So and I realize Echelon
30
is
seconds.
separate, but it also, it kind of governs over and it's the economics and, runs the ecosystem side. So to me, they're, two peas in a pod. But yeah, so I don't know if that answers it, but I will give my 111% and be probably the hardest working EP. It'll be my sole focus.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. We've done the snake thing back and forth, so I can randomly pick someone. Polo, we have a question for you on blockchain or Web3 games and onboarding. So, here it is. What do you see as the biggest barrier to onboarding other projects in the Echelon ecosystem? And do you have any possible elementary solutions?
I think the biggest barrier of actual ecosystem to like for the project is that it's like we need to like offer give the project value that we could provide them. Because recently I'm working in a Japanese like blockchain company. They have like we have a lot of complaint come from Web2 big complaints like DMM or side games. They have they do really want get themselves into Web3 and blockchain, but they don't know how to do it. This blockchain called Oasis in Japan, they can this blockchain can provide the solutions for the Web2 components entering into Web3 world. I think this is like something we can learn from it. Like we can probably gonna provide them the way those Web2 components in Japan enter into like Web3 and if probably they can use our token as their like
20
they
seconds.
involved with the like ecosystem or something like this. So yeah, I think that's my answer. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Next random question is for Meta. I think it's Meta. Let's see. Meta. Here's my question list. Sorry, guys. We're trying to take these from the community surveys kind of a little bit on the fly. All right. What is potentially Echelon's biggest asset or assets that give it a competitive edge in the space?
I mean, I think it's pretty well. I would say maybe two, but yeah, our gameplay pool is pretty juicy, let's say, and so that's a huge sort of piece that we can help sort of acquire users, retain them, and sort of drives our ecosystem. I think the other piece is sort of the affiliation with Parallel. We're sort of joined at the hip. I think we are getting better at sort of outlining roles and responsibilities, but I think like we still are very much to Austin's earlier point, like our success is sort of very tied to Parallel success, and so when we talk to games and studios, part of the conversation is that affiliation with Parallel, the sort of tools that they've built, the community they've created. Like this is
20
all
seconds.
sort of comes as this all comes as sort of a package that comes when you join the Echelon ecosystem. So I think between the gameplay pool and the sort of prime associated and the association with Parallel, I would say those are the big pieces.
Thank you. All right, Austin, you get to go up next. You mentioned your skills as a solo entrepreneur and have kind of been a jack of all trades and involved a lot of different angles. What's an example of a time you had to develop a business relationship and negotiate terms and manage those terms via contract? Austin, did you catch that real quick? I can repeat it if needed.
Sorry, I was muted. Maybe you could say it one more time. Okay, no, I think I heard you pretty clear. So I would say, well, I guess you could count this. I mean, so I had I don't know how into detail I want to go, but I had a business basically where at the end of it, it was just I wanted to put my focus elsewhere. So I had somebody else running it for me and managing all that. And, we had to work an agreement out. And I mean, leveraging my assets and leveraging it's hard to explain, but like leveraging socials, like because basically my assets had value and had like value as far as promotional value and marketing value. So part of me being able to get lower rates was me being able to offer up value in other ways. So instead of it just being, you can make X amount, which was, let's just say 15 or 20,000, it was like, yeah, you might make 15 or 20,000, but you're also getting $30,000 worth or even more in just like promotional value by being able to use my assets and kind of, fake it till you make it a little bit. I don't know if that's really a good way to put it, because it's not really doing that. It's just, that was the nature of the business, is just, if you have assets under your control, you're able to show them as your assets. I mean, he
30
was
seconds.
managing them. But yeah, just leveraging everything in your power to, get the most optimal positioning in the deal. I don't know if that really answered it perfectly, but I don't, like, being in what I was doing, nothing I did was like NDAs and I had to, it wasn't like that, but just contractual stuff where, I'm definitely not bad at negotiating.
Thank you, Austin, for your answer. I think next we are on to Ultra for another question, or random ordering at this round. What kind of games, if any, do you think Echelon should seek to bring into the ecosystem next? And should Echelon stick with the sci-fi theme or seek to add diversity?
Well, I'll answer this first. I don't think sci-fi specific is necessary. I think good games is, obviously the most important thing. I personally think competitive games fits easier into our ecosystem, but I understand that the crop of games that we actually have to select from is, it's not a wide selection. So the tough part there is community buy-in, right? So understanding that, hey, you might not get another parallel. Like, I think that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, because, we want to stack everything up against parallel, and it's just, let's be honest, there's nothing that's ever going to be another parallel. But competitive games where the founders are, I think we're flexible enough where we could work with somebody who isn't
30
crypto
seconds.
native, or if you do find somebody that is crypto native, I think it's going to be a lot easier to implement things and get them onboarded faster. But finding games themselves earlier than others is going to be an important part. There's a lot of competitiveness right now with the other ecosystems, and they're trying to onboard as many games as possible, and I'm not sure they're focusing on quality, whereas we have to keep quality in really high consideration, but realize that we probably need to get some other things on board too.
Right, we're at time. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask my fellow EPs to feed me the next question via chat, please. I just missed it. Sorry. Sean or Nane, can you resurface that for me, please, real quick? Okay. All right, guys.
Steele, it's in Slack.
Okay, who's it for? Sorry, I didn't see who. I didn't see that.
Another one,
Who's it for?
Ultra, from the community.
Okay, Ultra. Okay, can you share something you worked on last year without breaking NDA?
I guess I can broadly talk about some things. My focus areas. I would say they range from tokenomics, business development, working very closely with Parallel in their strategic decisions, and making sure that our strategic decisions align. I don't think people realize how much we talk to Parallel. It's not just me. I mean, other people too. But when you have a partner on board our ecosystem, this is what's going to happen with other games too. There's a lot of things that we excel at that I think they lean on us for at sometimes, and obviously there's a lot of things with the things that they're working on that we really can't talk about yet. So I think I touched into some things earlier on this call that give you kind of an idea of the area I've been focusing on.
Great.
We'll keep it there.
All right. Thank you, Ultra. Quick second for my colleagues here to catch up, make sure I didn't miss any questions in our
You have not
chat here.
questions, but we will give their chat opportunity to ask one more question.
Also, while we're waiting on that, just a reminder: the candidate materials are live in the thread, so you can read. You can hear an audio clip. You can see CVs. You can see survey questionnaires. Sorry about that. Survey questionnaires and more. And then you can also carry on the conversation in election general under the governance section. So this is more of a start than a finish, hopefully, to conversations with the candidates. To all, Serge. Okay.
On still, Serge, that's a perfectly good question, but it's not going to get answered in 5 minutes, especially not by everyone. Maybe pocket that one for tomorrow night.
Great. All right, everyone, we're at our 45-minute allotment, so we're going to wrap up the stage recording and the session, and please feel free to reach out to EPs or candidates via chat. Thank you all for attending. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.